The Wild One, Legends of Altheodore, Chapter 6, The Prophecy. By the time they returned home, the sun had sunk below the treetops. They settled for some bread and quick snacks before bed. But Rouene made Sorrel promise to stay home the next day. She had something important to show him. The next morning, Sorrel set himself on the task of cooking breakfast. Real breakfast. He happened to lose some old biscuits and jerky as he searched the kitchen for ingredients and tools. Whoops. Jazz took a whiff and seemed just as disgusted by the things as Sorrel had been. At least his distaste was shared. He was glad to discover she had a cooler to store the perishables in, tucked away in a corner. It wasn't very big, but he'd been able to fit breakfast essentials like eggs and sausage. Rouene woke while Sorrel was in the middle of preparations. "What are you making?" she asked. "Omelets," he replied. "I don't know too many kinds of breakfast food, and we didn't find any potatoes last night." Granted, they hadn't actually entered the produce market. "Omelets?" she asked. "Aren't those hard to make?" "They take a bit of practice," Sorrel admitted, "but I figured it out. Couldn't always find a place that makes them, so I had to do it myself." "Really? I would have just gone without," Rouene replied with a yawn. Sorrel finished chopping and started whisking the eggs until they were nice and fluffy. "I don't like sacrificing anything, especially if there's no real reason to," he told her. "I won't let having to earn money get in the way either." She yawned again and watched as Jazz helped himself to a nibble of sausage. "Is it okay to let him eat that?" "Is it bad?" Sorrel asked. "I don't really know what magical creatures eat, so I just let him have what he wants." "I don't know either," Rouene admitted. Jazz only blinked in response. Magical creature or not, he looked and acted just like a cat, though he was far too mellow to really be a kitten. Sorrel set 2 plates on the table with huge, steaming omelets atop them. He let Jazz have some leftover filling and some egg mixture as a scramble. Rouene hadn't eaten breakfast like this since she had left home, and her mouth began to water against her will. "What was it you wanted to show me?" Sorrel asked. "The prophecy," Rouene replied, then took a bite. It was still a bit hot, so she quickly covered her mouth with her hand as she let some steam out. "Oh yeah," Sorrel remembered. "You did tell me about that when we met. You hadn't thought too much about it. Prophecies were known for being vague and mostly unhelpful." "I picked it up yesterday," Rouene explained. She decided to let it cool down a bit before taking another bite. "I added some notes with some other things I know, but my benefactor's the one who told me most of it." There was that benefactor again. The more she mentioned him, the less Sorrel liked him. Not that a thief like himself had any right to pass judgment on a suspicious enigma. "Let's take a look, then," Sorrel decided, pushing his omelet aside a bit to make room at the table. Rouene went to the other room quickly and retrieved a piece of paper. "I wasn't allowed to borrow the original, so I just had to copy it real quick," she told him. The handwriting on the paper was neat and organized. The prophecy was centered with the notes off to either side. Sorrel gave it a quick glance through as he ate his omelet. "2 halves of a whole, a hero and a general. The Wild One shall carve the way. The Weapons Master shall secure it. Their genius combined shall create the new world. Treasures restored from times past. Treasures created for their futures. All shall know their names and revel in their glory. The Wild One hails from a distant land, forbidden magic in his hand. The Weapons Master will be born anew, an heir to the first, tried and true." It was pretty short. He wasn't sure what he was expecting. Maybe a bit more length? Not that any of what was actually there made much sense. Well, one bit made perfect sense to him. The Wild One hails from a distant land, forbidden magic in his hand. If Rouene was right about him being the Wild One, the distant land could only be that horrible place, Griff. As for forbidden magic, all magic was forbidden there. It could also be talking about the fact that he copied that portal that some queen had apparently banned. "What does this mean?" he asked, as he pointed to the one for the Weapons Master. "The Weapons Master will be born anew, an heir to the first, tried and true." Rouene looked over at it. "I'm not sure, but I think it's referring to the fact that my father was once given the title of Weapons Master. In other words, I'm not the first one?" Sorrel switched his attention to the notes on the side. Right by Treasures Restored from Times Past, she had written Revival of the Elodan Warriors and Ancient Magic and Technology. Technology? Sorrel asked. The countries that have technology tend to be fairly exclusive, so I'm not surprised you don't know much about it, she told him. They believe magic and technology don't mix. Sorrel frowned. Actually, he had heard about technology, a lot during his childhood. Perhaps Griff was part of one of those kingdoms. What's ancient technology, then? Sorrel asked. Legends tell of devices that combine the powers of technology and magic, Rouene explained. But no one knows when they existed or much about them. Some people believe the document talking about them was not a historical text, but a highly detailed prophecy. Unfortunately, I've never seen it. Technology made with magic? Sorrel kinda agreed that magic and technology didn't mix, but it was a cool idea. There was another part of the prophecy that caught his eye. The Wild One shall carve the way, the weapons masters shall secure it. Hold on, doesn't this mean I'll be doing most of the work? He complained. Not necessarily, Rouene argued. People can walk down a path carved through a forest, but unless it is enforced, secured, and maintained, it'll be lost to the forest soon enough. Sorrel thought about that. Then you have to do all the work, and I just get to charge ahead? She winced at his wording. Something like that. Probably, she admitted. He finished up his omelet and headed to the sink to clean up. Luckily, there was a sink. Most places Sorrel had stayed were abandoned and didn't have any convenient magic tools. Magic tools. The pouch he had seen at the Boleas Guild suddenly popped into his mind. If he had something convenient like that, he would... No, he couldn't. At least for now, he wanted to stay on Rouene's good side, but there was no telling if that pouch would still be there once he got bored of playing the part of a good, legal citizen. Is something wrong? Rouene asked from behind him. I was just wondering when you would finish, he lied, and looked at her barely eaten omelet. Rouene hesitated. It really is delicious, she assured him, but I'm full. I can't believe you polished off yours so quickly. I'll just eat the rest later. Full? Maybe it was a side effect of going hungry for so long, but Sorrel never felt full. Most people he had cooked for could eat that much, though. She wouldn't lie, so he tried to guess her new portion size based on what she did eat. Having a partner was so complicated. Still, without her he wouldn't have found the Boleas Guild or met Jazz. Jazz rubbed gently against his legs, as if summoned by Sorrel's thoughts, and he picked the kitten up. He was so soft and warm. Sorrel spent the rest of the day strategizing, discussing, and helping Rouene with any tasks or chores. Anything, really, to get his mind off that mysterious bag. The more he tried to ignore it, the more it began to fill his thoughts. That night, Sorrel took a detour before bed. He was just going to get a closer look at it. That much should be fine. Right?